Hi friends, this is Ryan Reed of Reed Law Group. What should you do if stopped by law enforcement on suspicion of DUI? Well, here's what I think you should do, maybe as importantly what you should not do if you think you've been pulled over for a possible DUI. Before I get to those do's and don'ts though, let me be very clear. Please, do not drink and drive ever. There are so many other and better options than that very bad choice. Make sure you always have a designated driver or a safe ride home. Use Uber or Lyft or some other form of a rideshare program. Whatever it is, make sure that you've made a plan before you start drinking, and make sure that your plan means you won't drive drunk. Now, as for the do's and don'ts, first, as soon as you pull over, do get out your license, your registration, and proof of insurance even before the officer gets to your window. That way you won't be fumbling around for them or maybe even tossing them into the floor with the officer watching over your shoulder. In fact, if you'll call or email or even visit Reed Law Group to request one, I'll provide you with one of these to hold your registration and proof of insurance. And it also holds this card that I recommend as item number 1A on the list of things you should do. And that is this, that you do hand this card to the officer who stopped you at the same time you hand over your license, registration, and proof of insurance. This card, if you hand it over to the officer, as I recommend, will make many of the following points for you without you having to say a word. The second thing, if you don't have the card to hand over, is that you do tell the officer, I do not consent to a search. I do not consent to a search. Say this politely, but say it plainly, and say it early during the stop, so that there can be no confusion about whether you will voluntarily consent to a search of your person or of your automobile. Third, do tell police that you want to talk to Reed Law Group at the earliest possible moment. The sooner you talk to us, the better for you and the better for your case. And fourth, on that same point, do put our phone number in your phone right now. It's 270-745-1933. We can take your call around the clock, day or night, and with our number already in your phone, you can quickly reach Reed Law Group if you're stopped by police for possible DUI. Now, those are the 4 things you should do if you find yourself in this situation. Here are 4 things you definitely should not do if you've been stopped by police for DUI. First, do not ever take any field sobriety test or other roadside tests. These tests are all completely voluntary, and you are not required by Kentucky law to take any of them. Now, usually the officer doesn't ask you if you want to take the test or will agree to take the test, and the officer will really never tell you that you have the right or the choice to refuse to take these tests. Most times on the side of the road, the officer just starts giving the tests. So you have to be prepared to refuse them, and you have to be prepared to stand by your refusal. But no matter what the officer does or doesn't tell you, under Kentucky law, there is no penalty if you say no to the field sobriety tests or even the roadside breath test. So I say never, ever take any of the field sobriety tests or the roadside breath test. You're probably only hurting your case if you do, because you may be giving the police and the prosecutor strong evidence to use against you. Second, do not try to talk your way out of trouble. It won't work. In fact, the more you say to the officer, the worse it will likely be. It's simple. DUI arrest records always mention slurred speech. Well, it's hard to slur your speech if you aren't talking. You're just far better off keeping quiet. And remember, if you hand over this card like I recommend, it'll do most of the talking for you anyway. Next, do not answer police questions without a lawyer present. You've already identified yourself by handing over your driver's license, your registration, your proof of insurance, and so forth. Do not answer questions about where you were going. Do not answer questions about where you have been. Do not answer questions about whether you've consumed alcohol, and certainly don't answer any questions about how much alcohol you might have consumed. Simply remain silent, or repeat the word lawyer as your answer to any question you're asked. Fourth, if you're still arrested anyway, do not take the breathalyzer test at the jail or agree to a blood or urine test at the hospital until you've talked to us first. There are serious consequences that will happen whether you take the test at the jail or the hospital, or whether you refuse to take the test at the jail or the hospital. It's important that you understand those consequences before you decide what to do. This right is so important that the DUI laws say you're allowed 10 to 15 minutes to contact and consult with a lawyer before deciding whether to submit to a breath or blood or urine test. So use your time wisely. Call Reed Law Group. And if you've already put our number in your phone as I recommend, you're making it that much easier to reach us. Finally, if you've been charged with a DUI, call, click, or text to talk to Reed Law Group. We'll review your case for free and show you how to fight your DUI charge. If you followed this do's and don'ts list, you'll already be well off to a strong start in fighting that charge. So, don't drink and drive, but if you are arrested, call Reed Law Group. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and thanks for listening.